Hi everyone, welcome back to Almost Normal. So last night I discovered this YouTube video which had popped up on my For You page or my home page or whatever you call it for YouTube a couple times, and I never clicked on it for some reason. But yesterday it came up again and I felt just like inclined to click on it. I don't know, there was like an urge, you know? I was like, okay, for some reason right now feels like the time to watch this video. Had no idea what it was going to be about. Literally, like, I could take a few guesses due to the title of the video, but I really didn't actually know like what was happening here. And anyway, the video was called Let Them Just Let Them by Looking at Life With Dee. And in this video, this woman, who seems like a lovely British grandma, reads this poem that she said that she saw on Facebook. And then she sort of analyzes it and has a few notes at the end that she talks about, like what she felt when she read this and what she feels like it means and what it means to her, and sort of giving like a little bit of advice to her viewers or whatever. And I just thought it was so lovely, and it sort of made me a bit emotional for a multitude of reasons. One of which, and this is going to sound very, very odd, but I am English. Some of you may know that, I don't know. But I did not have a very close relationship with a grandma, okay? I didn't ever have like a grandma-esque figure. My dad's mom passed away way before I was born, and then my mum's mum lived in Pennsylvania, and so I never really got to see her very much. I kind of saw her when I went to her place for the summertime for a couple weeks, but that was pretty much it. I never had that like grandma figure, that like British grandma that I could just like go to whenever I was having troubles and stuff like that. And, you know, I never had that sort of relationship. I feel like that's kind of like a core relationship a lot of people have, and I just never had that. And so this video, first of all, made me a little emotional because I was like, oh, I feel like I missed out on something really great. And this woman just seems so lovely. She seems like the type of person I would go to her house and like have tea and crumpets with, which I guess is like a typical British grandma thing to do. But yeah, I missed out on that experience and I feel emotional about it. I don't know why. I never really thought about it at all growing up. But recently, I think that, I don't know, I think as you get older, you start to notice these little things that could have changed your life. And you're like, damn, like who would I have been if I had that typical British grandma and I could just go to her house and like talk about my parents with them, and they would give me guidance and all of that, and probably would give me very different guidance to the stuff my parents gave me. And anyway, initially I was like, oh my God, like I just want to go hang out with you in your little conservatory in the rain in England. That sounds really nice. Dee, if you're watching this, I'll be in London this summer, so let me know. I don't even know where you are in England, but that just seems so pleasant. Seems like something that I really would like to experience. Luckily, completely off topic, by the way, I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent now, but I am in this program called AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and I have met women of all ages in that group who have become very, very, very close to me. And so I do feel like I'm healing that small part of me that didn't get to have a proper grandma relationship, which is really, really nice. And I'm very, very grateful for that. There are some things that being alcoholic, I wish I didn't have to experience, like being an alcoholic and sort of having a lot of mental issues, let's just say, and not being able to socialize like most people, always having that sort of feeling like you're missing out on certain things because you can't drink or do drugs because it just doesn't really mix well with who you are as a person. But there are some really great positive things that have come out of it, and one of those being that I have become friends with people who I would never ever be friends with, mostly because when I was younger and an active alcoholic, I was very judgmental. If you weren't cool, or you weren't like wearing the cool clothes, or you weren't in the cool cliquey group, like I didn't really want to hang out with you. Like hanging out with an older person was definitely not something that I strived towards, because I was very selfish and judgmental and naive, because to be honest, I have learned more than I have ever learned ever from older people. And that seems so obvious, but it's only just started to click for me. And so in a way, I am a grateful alcoholic. I never understood. In meetings, people would say, hi, I'm da-da-da, I'm a grateful alcoholic. In the beginning of my sobriety, I did not understand when people said that. I was just like, how can you be grateful for this horrible, like, disease? Like, I just want to go out with my friends and, like, get wasted and do coke in the bathroom, and I can't do that. And now I'm, like, sitting here on a Saturday in the back room of this church with, like, gross coffee. Like, how are we grateful here? Like, what's going on? What's happening here? Like, I've had to lose all of my friends. Not really my friends, but I've learned that now. How are we grateful? Like, just stop saying that. It's bothering me. And now I feel like I am probably that person, and the new people who come into the rooms probably hear me be like, I love being an alcoholic. Like, I've met so many great people. And everyone's probably like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. But anyway, that's who I've become, and I'm proud of it. I don't really care. But yeah, sorry, I just went completely off on a tangent. But anyway, this video, I think the reason I clicked on it last night was because I've actually been reading the book Let Them by Mel Robbins. I'm about like 100 pages in. I'm not even close to being finished, but it has really changed the way I think already, which is really nice. And I've also been going through a lot of anxiety recently, and this book has actually really helped me, and actually has helped me understand like where some of this anxiety is coming from, which has been really great. So anyway, I've been reading that book, and then I saw this video and I was like, oh shit, like, let me just watch this. I might learn something from it. Who knows? But anyway, in this video, she read this poem, which I'm going to read now because I feel like that will be therapeutic for me. I didn't actually ever read it myself. I just listened to this woman read it. And I know I just listened to this woman's YouTube video last night, and I have already watched it like 10 times because it like heals something in me every time. Anyway, I'm just going to read the poem that she read, and it's called Just Let Them by Cathy Phillips. Just let them. If they want to choose something or someone over you, let them. If they want to go weeks without talking to you, let them. If they are okay with never seeing you, let them. If they are okay with always putting themselves first, let them. If they are showing you who they are and not what you perceive them to be, let them. If they want to follow the crowd, let them. If they want to judge or misunderstand you, let them. If they act like they can live without you, let them. If they want to walk out of your life and leave, hold the door open and let them. Let them lose you. You were never theirs because you were always your own, so let them. Let them show you who they truly are, not tell you. Let them prove how worthy they are of your time. Let them make the necessary steps to be a part of your life. Let them earn your forgiveness. Let them call you to talk about ordinary things. Let them take you out on a Thursday. Let them talk about anything and everything just because it's you they are talking to. Let them have a safe space in you. Let them see the heart in you that didn't harden. Let them love you. That's it. I just think it's really lovely. Yeah, I really love that poem. I think I'm going to print it out and like put it somewhere in my room because it seems like such a simple idea, such a simple concept, but it's easily forgotten. And combining what I read in Mel Robbins' book and watching this and reading this poem, it is clear to me that a lot of my anxiety comes from trying to control everything around me. And you are unable to control what anyone else does. It is simply impossible. And all it's going to do is drain every little ounce of energy you have and make you very, very unhappy. Because if you're trying to control people, if you're trying to control how they speak to you or what they do with their spare time or whether they text you back in 5 seconds or 10 minutes or any of that stuff, like, you're never going to be able to control them. So if you're putting your happiness into that, into the idea that you can, you're going to be very unhappy. And even if you tell them to do something and they do it, the chances are they're not going to do the thing that you ask them to do exactly the way you want them to. And then you're going to be disappointed again. And I think a lot of my anxiety comes from having my mind in like 100 different places, trying to control this person who's all the way over there and trying to control this person who's over here. I'm ending up not being the best person I can be because in spending all my time trying to control other people, I'm not looking at myself. I'm not reflecting on myself. I'm not being like, Rita, what are you doing in this situation? Like, how have you affected the situation? How can you make the situation better? I keep talking about AA, and this was not meant to be an AA video at all, but a huge sort of principle in AA is letting go and accepting the things that you can't change the things you can, and accept the things that you can't. And as I am an alcoholic, and the fact that that's like in the alcoholic's prayer or the serenity prayer, it means that it is a huge part of living peacefully and tranquilly and not feeling like you want to drink or do drugs. Someone has figured out that when people try to control other people, it doesn't work out well. There's not a light at the end of the tunnel. It'll send you into a spiral, it'll send you insane, and you'll end up ruining your own life by drinking and doing drugs. So reading this book and watching this YouTube video and reading this poem, it all seems so obvious, but it clearly isn't, because I am clearly trying to control people all the time, all the freaking time. You know, my mind is never with me in the present. It's always, what are those people saying about me? Or like, why isn't this person texting me back? Or why didn't I get invited to this brunch by this person, even though I didn't invite them to my brunch, but that doesn't matter. They should be inviting me to their brunch. Like, my mind is then focused completely on everyone else but me. So I just wrote out some notes here just to fully explain like what the theory is. Mel Robbins calls it the let them theory. So, defining the mindset. Let them is a phrase popularized by Mel Robbins that means letting go of the urge to control others and allowing people to do what they want. Instead of forcing someone to meet your expectations, you just let them be themselves and focus on your own reaction. This idea struck a nerve, quickly going viral, because it's simple, almost liberatingly logic. Like, that's what I think. It's so simple, and it doesn't feel like it would affect your life that much. And it almost seems like common sense, but perhaps this is one of those common sense things that actually isn't that common. I'm not sure. And then I've written here, the urge to control. Let's be honest, we've all been guilty of trying to control people or outcomes. Maybe you've caught yourself stewing because you weren't invited to a group outing, or you've begged a loved one to make a better choice. Why do we do this? Often it's rooted in anxiety and fear. Experts note that when we feel at the mercy of other people's actions or unpredictable events, it triggers feelings of vulnerability and helplessness. Desperate for certainty, we scramble to regain control by pushing others to do the things our way. We're uncomfortable with the idea that people might do things differently than we expect, so we intervene. Mel Robbins observes that a lot of controlling or obsessive behavior is triggered by the way you think things should be, and you're uncomfortable with the uncertainty, so you jump in and try to fix it. I think something that can be easily misconceived, before I get into it further, is the idea of letting go can sometimes feel or sound like giving up and losing power, because you're just letting other people do whatever they want. But it's actually the opposite, because once you just relieve yourself of the stress of trying to figure out everyone else's life in order to make yours happy, you gain power. Trying to control everyone around you uses all your power. It sucks up your power. It takes all your attention away from yourself, and you're just sort of left with nothing. Because at the end of the day, again, you will never be able to control everyone around you. So your efforts are wasted. All that energy is completely wasted. And it could have been spent on bettering yourself, focusing on yourself, reflecting on how you react to situations, and not completely wasted on trying to puzzle everyone else's life together. And it's just not going to ever happen like that. I think also on the other side of this, on the other side of trying to control other people in order to make yourself happy and then just losing all your energy doing that. On the other side of that, it's like self-acceptance, and it's not putting your self-worth in other people's hands. If someone doesn't want to be your friend, apologize if necessary. Apologize if you genuinely feel like you have done something wrong and that's why that person does not want to be your friend. But even if you do apologize and they still don't want to be your friend, you've done your part. There's nothing more you can do. Don't stress yourself out about it any further than necessary. But also really evaluate whether you have something to apologize for. And if you don't, and that person just doesn't want to be your friend, then literally accept that. Literally accept that. I think we have these ideas about people, and everyone does it. It's not, an individual experience. Everyone does this. I know I do this a lot, where I put people on a pedestal for no particular reason. I have no idea why I do it, or how it happens. Is it the clothes they have? Is it the subscribers they have? Is it because they said something really cool at this party once? But I have no idea where it comes from. But there are so many times where I put people up on pedestals and I turn them into gods or whatever in my head. And I create this narrative around them that could be so far from the truth. But I don't wish to figure that out. I'm very happy pretending, or not even pretending, but I'm very happy to be looking up to this person. I'm very happy for a second to think that this person is the greatest ever. But with that, I start to put my happiness in them. And I'm like, if this person doesn't want to be my friend, then I am worth nothing. And that is so far from the truth. People are very, very multifaceted. People are very, very complex, okay? Not everyone on this planet likes the color red, for example. Not everyone on this planet likes pizza, which I find bonkers. It's my favorite food in the entire world. No judgment if you don't like pizza. But very, very complex things as human beings don't like very, very simple things like the color red and pizza somehow. So it's kind of insane to think that a complex human being will like every other very, very complex thing, which is another human being. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. Not everyone likes everyone. And there are people in my life that I do not particularly care for. And that's not because they did anything wrong. It has nothing to do with what they've done. It's just simply, views don't align, or we just don't click. That whole idea of people clicking is such a overlooked term, because it's you don't just click with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a romantic relationship. There's clicking within friendship groups, okay? And I'm friends with people who are friends with other people who I don't click with, It's there's a very specific chemistry when it comes to two people wanting to hang out with each other, and it just isn't always there. So if someone doesn't want to be your friend, or someone doesn't like you, especially if you've put them on this pedestal, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you have to change. It doesn't mean you have to apologize for some unknown thing. It doesn't mean you have to switch up how you dress or the music you listen to or your views, political or otherwise. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that two people, very, very complex things, don't meld together. And that's totally fine. And for such a long time, I have been controlled by that and have ended up trying to change myself, trying to transform into someone else, because I feel like I'll only be happy if this particular group of people like me, or if this particular person likes me, because for some reason in my head, I've made them out to be this amazing thing. But if I really opened my eyes and really saw who they actually were, it would be clear to me that they have done nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just that me and them probably aren't going to be friends, and that's totally fine. So I think that the let them theory is also very much tied to that idea. You know, if someone doesn't want to be your friend, just let them, you know, just let them. It doesn't matter. Your world's not going to end. And to be honest, if you're obsessing over somebody and you feel like you have to be friends with them in order to be happy, like, that's not the best way for a friendship to start. You know, one person being obsessed with the other and like willing to change everything they can in order to impress the other person, and the other person's just sort of not caring or even wishes to be in this friendship at all. You know, like, you can't change yourself to make other people feel better, because if you do that, you're gonna be unhappy because you're not living yourself. You're not living for yourself, you're living for someone else. Just letting people make their own decisions and being in full radical acceptance of that, you know? If we have done something wrong, if we have offended someone, if we said the wrong thing, if we did the wrong thing, being able to like reflect and say, okay, I genuinely feel like I fucked up and I need to apologize. That's one thing. But don't ever feel like you have to apologize because someone doesn't want to talk to you, but you don't really know what you did, you know? Get the facts. Get the facts first. Don't sort of throw yourself into the fire and be like, I'm sorry, I repent for my actions, please love me, if you didn't even do anything wrong in the first place, you know? You're a whole person. You're a whole person, and the people around you are also whole people. You're not less of a person than anyone else. Everyone is at 100%, okay? And you are too. You do not need to change anything about yourself in order for people to make... You do not need to change anything about yourself in order to impress other people. The people that will be enticed by you, want to be friends with you, they will come. They will just come naturally. Absolutely. And in hundreds of different forms, you know, in person, online, like, there's so many different ways of communication in this day and age, which is kind of amazing. Don't change yourself. Don't make yourself smaller in order to fit into a specific type of group, because you're better than that, you know, and you really are. And so I think the let them theory really emphasizes that. It's just like, if someone doesn't want to hang out with you, someone doesn't want to date you or go out with you, someone doesn't text you back, if they don't invite you to their birthday parties, like, fine, you know, you just don't click. And that's totally fine. Doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all. You're enough of a person. You don't need anyone else to fulfill you as a human being. You do not need anyone to hang out with you in order to feel like you fit in. And as you get older, you'll definitely notice that there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people out there in the world. And the older you get, the larger your world becomes, and the more obvious this becomes. And so it becomes easier to sort of say, okay, if these people don't like me, then I don't really give a fuck. What about these people? You know? And I know in high school, this was the worst for me because I had very, very low self-esteem, and I just really desperately needed people to like me. And so I would bend over backwards. You know, I would change anything. I would smoke weed. I would do that drug. I would go to this person's house. I would hang out with this person, even if I really didn't like them and I really just actually thought that they were just the worst person ever. I would hang out with them because the person I want to impress hangs out with them. So I'm going to hang out with them, and I'm going to put myself in pain, and I'm going to make myself unhappy. I'm going to put myself in very questionable situations in order to impress other people. And doing that over and over and over again, your life is going to become not the most fun. It's not going to become fun. It's going to become horrible. You're going to wake up and dread the day because you're going to be like, I have to do all of this fucking shit that I hate doing to impress this other person. Like, no. Don't do it, okay? Don't do it. There are people out there who will love you for you, and you'll let them pass you by if you start changing who you are. I feel like I have again gone off on a little bit of a tangent, and we've had a lot of those. I think that I haven't finished the book. But if I read on and I learn some new stuff, I'll definitely talk about it. But I think that at the moment, I'm definitely trying to sort of crawl out of this hole of anxiety that I've put myself in, which is not the easiest. And I've had to do a lot of self-reflection. And I notice that when I get super anxious, I start to sort of put the blame on other people, and I start to see other people's actions, and I start to say like, oh, well, if that person didn't do that, then I wouldn't do this. And, oh, well, I'm upset because this person didn't invite me to this thing. And, oh, like, ooh, maybe I should invite this person to this thing because otherwise they'll be mad at me if I don't. But I don't really want them there anyway. And so I'm probably going to be unhappy at this sort of girls' night that I planned because I invited this person. But like, why did I invite them? Like, if they're going to be mad at me for not inviting them, like, let me just let them. And the minute I started saying that, literally the minute I started being like, okay, well, if they're going to be mad at me, fine, let them. It all started to become much calmer in my head. And it was kind of wild, I have to say. Just let them. What's the worst that's going to happen, you know? If you're being offensive, if you're like not inviting someone on purpose to be mean, that's different. And that will require some self-reflection, but also reflection on the relationship. Like, why do you feel like you want to treat this person like that? I'm very much going on a tangent now. I'll give you an example of a let them situation I had very recently, which was just at a family dinner. You know, I think this is also not a unique experience with myself. A lot of family from lots of different generations come together and from lots of different parts of the world and start to talk, and, you know, things don't align. You know, family wasn't really exactly chosen, and sometimes we just have to radically accept when we're not going to change anyone's minds. And I think holiday meals are something that a lot of people experience, and the let them theory would be very useful for them, because during this meal, let's just say that there was a lot of chit chat about things that I did not agree with politically, like very far from agreement on those things, like very far. And in the beginning, I sort of poked the conversation. I sort of tried to interject, and I sort of tried to argue, and I almost convinced myself that I wouldn't be happy unless I fully changed this person's mind. And all of a sudden, I could feel myself getting hot. I could feel myself getting angry and stressed out and trying to get my words in while they were, going on and on and on and on and on. And it was really hard, and I was getting frustrated, and I was like, oh, if this person could just shut up for 2 seconds, like maybe I can explain to them like how they're so wrong, and maybe they'll change their mind, and then like maybe I'll feel better. And in that moment, I just literally remembered the book, and I was like, I have no control over this. And the only thing that's going to happen is I'm going to get into a very heated discussion with this person, and I'm going to end up being upset. And then I'm going to start blaming myself for ruining this meal, even though, I feel like I was giving my piece and my piece was right. And I'm going to think back on the dinner, and I'm going to be like, why didn't I just keep my mouth shut? And I'm just going to ruminate. And this person who I tried to change their mind is probably never going to think about this dinner ever again. But I'm going to be left thinking about it and obsessing over it and feeling like maybe I should apologize. Maybe I should apologize to everyone, and just becoming obsessive about that. And before any of this happened, I was just like, okay, let's just let this person believe what they want. I never see this person ever, like hardly ever. They're not really in my life, It is not my job to change their mind. I can't change their mind, even if it was my job. And to be honest, the things that this person is saying kind of seems like they want to have a heated discussion about it. So let's just not. And let's just let them say what they're going to say, just move on. And I did that. And yes, maybe I had to get up and go to the kitchen and like get something for a second, but I needed that moment. And I'm so happy I didn't say anything, because it would have ruined the day for everyone else. And it would have been a shit show, and I would have been the one upset by it, even though I felt in the time that I was doing the right thing. Like, it was just so relieving to be like, I honestly have no control over this person, and that's totally fine, Totally fine. And that was a really nice moment, because I can get quite confrontational, let's just say, and it's gotten me into a bit of trouble. Even if I feel like I'm speaking my mind, sometimes it's like wrong place, wrong time, And it's sort of this view that I feel like I can change people's minds, and I can't. I cannot, This person is a completely different generation to me. I'm not going to be changing their mind anytime soon. They have spent years building up these ideas, and it's not going to be converted in the 10 minutes we have this conversation. Like, it's just not going to happen. And it was just such a relieving feeling. And I was just like, oh my God, thank God. Like, I don't have to do anything. This is not my responsibility whatsoever, you know? If this person says something and it offends someone else at the table and they want to argue about it, fine. But it's not my responsibility. And that just felt very, very, very nice, I have to say. And I've just been using this, you know, throughout the day. You know, there's little things that people do that frustrate me, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, you know? It really doesn't. It really doesn't. And maybe I find it hard to figure out when I can interject and speak my mind, because there are definitely times that you should do that. Absolutely. But I think it's just taking that breath and figuring out, like, am I trying to control this person or am I just speaking my mind? And there's a big difference there. And I think that just this sort of let them theory has very much helped me figure that out, you know? Like, is me saying something about this really going to help? And if it's a no, it's like, okay, well then just let this person do what they want. And it's very, very nice. Honestly, it's very relieving. Like, seeing people who are my friends hang out with each other without me, like, that used to rile me up. And now I'm just like, there must be a reason, you know? And if they don't want to hang out with me, that's fine. That's fine. Because I know I didn't do anything wrong. My side of the street is completely clean, so I don't have to stress. I don't have to stress. Just let them hang out with me, without me. I mean, they can hang out with me too if they wanted to. But yeah, just let them. Just literally just let go of any control you think you have over other people, because you do not have control over anyone else. And that is a really relieving feeling. All you have to do is control yourself. That's it. You know, control what you say, figure out what you say, reflect on yourself, figure out, is the way I reacted to this situation the right way to go about it? Do I have to apologize? That's all you have to worry about. You do not have to worry about literally anyone else. And the minute you remember that, you'll be so relieved, okay? You don't need anyone else to validate you. You don't need anyone else to make you feel valuable. You are valuable in yourself. Your ideas are valuable. Everything about you is valuable, okay? You don't need to impress anyone else. You don't need to be a people pleaser. Oh my God, can I get into this now? People pleasing is a big problem of mine. It has been forever, and I'm not going to get into it because it's illegal, but I didn't actually do the thing, but I was very close to literally committing like a federal crime in order to please someone I had met 10 minutes ago, because I desperately needed this person to perceive me in such a way that they would think that I was cool and interesting. And it was just so insane. It was just so crazy what I did. Or I didn't actually do it, okay? Please don't call the cops. I did not do the thing. But I was very close to it. Very, very close to it. And someone spoke sense to me. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's not do that. That's a terrible idea. You know, I feel like a lot of my anxiety comes from this perceived idea that I can control everyone. Probably from all the time I played Sims as a child. I feel like I have this weird control over everyone around me. I don't. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope some of that made sense. Just release control of everything around you and you will feel so much better. So much better. Literally wake up and just think about yourself. And it sounds super selfish, but it's not, you know. What's selfish is thinking that you have control over people. You literally don't. You literally don't. You know, people are going to do whatever they want. No matter how many times you tell them not to do it, they're going to do it. And you just have to accept that. And I think the minute you really, really do accept that, you'll be so much happier, because your brain isn't going to be in a million different places trying to figure out everyone else's life, you know? You just have to figure out one person's life that's your own. That's it. And it's been a really nice feeling, you know? So I recommend. The minute you feel like you're getting upset with someone, you didn't get invited to something, you feel like you have to change to impress someone, just literally take a deep breath and figure out something that you could do. Something that will benefit you. Just think about yourself, you know? In those moments where you feel like you want to tell this person how to live, just sort of reflect on yourself and it'll be very helpful. But anyway, that's it. That's all I have for today. I'm going to go. But I love you guys very much. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do. It's super helpful to me. And you can see every time I post anything. So yeah, just focus on yourself. You're pretty great, you know, and there's a lot to focus on. So let's do that. And yeah, all right. I love you guys. I will see you next time. Okay, bye.